If you want to become much more effective at using generative AI tools like Copilot and ChatGPT, Claude, it behooves you to change your relationship with AI tools, those AI tools. Now, a lot of professionals look at it as this all-knowing, super brilliant resource that has access to the world's information. That's not actually what it is. What these generative AI tools are just really smart prediction making mechanisms or machines that have been trained on this large pool of data that's freely accessible on the internet. And based on what you ask it, it eliminates a lot of potential options and gives you what it, based on patterns, believes is the best answer to your query. And now this can give you pretty decent results. In fact, the results can be so believable that we oftentimes feel like it's so smart. We have a connection with it. But ultimately, it's just a prediction, right? And if you truly want to maximize the return on the time that you invest in dealing with your AI tool and get better answers, it behooves you to better communicate with it. Now, many professionals, they just simply ask it basic questions, right? Like, give me the best creative solution to come up with a new way to create toilet paper, right? Something as very, very simple and very basic like that. And it'll give you some really decent answers, but it's the same answers it's going to give anybody who writes the exact same query. Now, if you start thinking about generative AI as this intern that you actually have to brief, give it context, give it role, give it context in terms of how to think and how you want your output, it will transform what it puts out. Now, here are 5 things to really think about when you craft your briefs for your generative AI tool. Number 1, give it a role, right? Take the role of an engineer, take the role of a writer, take the role of a career strategist or a branding strategist or a master marketing specialist or an engineer who specializes in aeronautics. That's the first and foremostly important direction-giving part of creating a good prompt/brief. Then you tell it what you want it to do, right? Give it a verb. I want you to analyze this report. I would like you to create a series of 20 different solutions to this problem, okay? That's the second part. And then give it more context, give it more and more context, more and more detail. So what it can do is ultimately eliminate potential inferences that it's going to make, predictions that it's going to make, right? So the more context you give it, the better and more niched and narrowed answers it's going to give you. Then also give it what your ultimate objective is. What is the goal that you're doing? And then the next step is to tell it what output you want. Do you want an Excel spreadsheet? Do you want it in a Word format? Do you want it in a .md? Do you want it in a PDF? How do you want it to output the information? And then lastly, if you have the ability to, upload some examples, because AI or generative AI is a very powerful copying machine. So if you give it examples, it'll formulate answers that kind of mirror the examples that you can give it. So give it 2 to 3 different examples. So you do those things, and then once it generates the answer that you want, you can interact with it further. First best way to interact with it is to create a separate prompt, put its output in there, and have that second prompt act as a red team or as a challenger to the initial output. The sole responsibility of that second prompt is to poke holes in the initial information that's put out. And by doing those 2 steps, right, having the initial output come out and then challenging it, you dramatically increase the likelihood of getting good information that reduces the amount of hallucinations or fake information that it puts out. And then ultimately just kind of review it yourself, and there you have a solid plan on how to massively increase the benefit of generative AI tools to your workflow and your day-to-day activities. Good luck.